Sonic Show, Jaden here. I need a haircut. A lot of big things happened in 2020. Probably the biggest being Flash ending. It's gone. Forever. Bye-bye. If you're not familiar with it, it ran basically every browser game you've ever played as a kid, every animation, and a lot of website layouts too. It's no longer the biggest, as HTML is the true internet Chad. But with it going away, so will everything on it. So all these games, animations, ever played an old browser Sonic game? Gone. All of it. An internet Thanos snap, where half of the internet will vanish into dust. Yay! Ultimate Flash Sonic. This game is extremely nostalgic. For many, it may be their introduction to classic 2D Sonic if they never had the Mega Collection, gems, or any of those ways to play it. The game initially came out in February of 2004, which is really impressive for what they were able to make. I mean, this is crazy, even for today. And while it doesn't play as good as the classic games, to have these many characters and this gameplay variety in a game in your browser in 2004 is nothing short of impressive. While Ultimate Flash Sonic isn't official by any stretch of the imagination, it is by far one of the most popular Sonic experiences that you can play out there. And it's really fun. One of the biggest losses is an officially licensed Shadow the Hedgehog Flash game that I didn't even know existed. This is real. Sega really hired some poor teenager to make this game. It's a 2D platformer that doesn't play like any Sonic game and is so clunky. However, I find this one really fun because of how surprisingly difficult it is and addictive. I've admittedly played this game a lot. It allows you to quickly restart and just try again until you beat it. Incredibly simple. I'm truly shocked at how much fun I had with this game, despite how simple and kind of bad the graphics are. It's not some masterpiece game, but it's a big part of Sonic's history, and it's gonna go bye-bye. I mean, Sega probably doesn't even care. Nintendo is officially doing this type of stuff, so some Flash game is just nothing to them. Now I'm gonna speed around a few of the others. The Sonic dress-up genre. If there's a character, there's a dress-up game of that character. It's just how it works. Then there's Interactive Buddy, a game for any kid who has deep-seated anger issues to get out. The entire point of this game is just to bring as much suffering to this gray blob as possible. That's it. One of the most popular Flash games, everybody. But seriously, there's some unexplainable satisfaction that this game tickles, which is probably why it's disturbingly popular. You guys are sick! Then there's the best Flash game, Raft Wars, a game that's pretty easy to play but really hard to master. One of the most prideful gaming achievements is completing Raft Wars with no upgrades and no power-ups. It's really difficult, but it's so fun! There's also the Balloon Tower Defense series where you have to stop the evil balloons from invading the monkey motherland. That's the real plot. Bloxors, a really good puzzle game where you have to move the block around to fit in a hole. Just gotta give it a little push, have it rotate around. I mean, basically every game on Cool Math Games. Not to mention Fancy Pants Adventures, a game so popular and beloved that it got a home console release, which was a huge deal at the time. Although in the long run, it didn't really end up amounting to too much. Even QWOP, and that's where I draw the line. We can't lose QWOP. That's too far. Flash was an amazing equalizer in many ways. It allowed people who would have never gotten to games in animation have a shot to learn and do it in a very accessible way. It not only pioneered a huge era of internet content, but also pioneered and changed internet culture. I can say with certainty that internet culture would not be the way it was today if it were not for Adobe Flash. And I mean that in the best ways and the worst ways. Many people in the gaming and animation industry got their start in Flash. A lot of people in animation still using Flash. I mean, that's just crazy. As for the future of Flash, animations will almost all be alright, as converting them into video isn't really a big deal. These animations often have no interactive elements besides their menu, so you don't really lose any content when converting it into a video form. And while some of these games will be accessible through Ruffle, which we'll get into later, if it involves installing a third-party player, most people aren't going to do that, and most probably won't even know it exists. Especially in the times when a lot of these people played these games were in times where you couldn't really download a third-party software. And honestly, you probably shouldn't have even been playing games. Were you studying? Were you working hard? I doubt it. Now, Ruffle is a Flash emulation engine, and honestly, there isn't a lot of information on this out. I'm not even sure if you have to download anything, because I know they recommend the browser extension and the desktop application, but I don't know if you need those. The information is not very clear. And honestly, a lot of these answers we're probably not even going to get until the transition from Flash is complete. I know a lot of the bigger websites will be switching to Ruffle, but a lot of the ones that haven't been updated or have gone MIA will drift away into forgottenness, completely unusable. It's not finished yet, so some games and animations are having trouble with Ruffle, a lot not even working. But it's not all downsides, because most games are working. Also, it's more secure, and a lot of games that previously weren't able to run on mobile actually can now. Only time will tell if they're able to successfully transition with Flash games running as well as they did before, and without having to download any third-party software, so that I can go to my school laptop, play Raft Wars, and fail trigonometry. Transition. While some people are overhyping the end of Flash, as a lot of games still will be playable, many are underhyping it, seeing Ruffle as a perfect solution. It has to be adopted by all of the website owners, and many aren't going to do this, as well as potentially being on the end user side, something impossible in most situations Flash games would be played. I want to briefly acknowledge some untraditional Flash experiences I found while doing this video that absolutely blew me away. First being Pharrell Williams' Happy. You've probably heard this song before. Honestly, I've heard it so much that it's nearly unbearable. But I found they made the world's first 24-hour music video for this song, and it's created entirely with Flash and stays in sync, so when you skip around, the timing stays the same throughout, something that would have been impossible with video. And it's very interesting, but it's just one example of a unique use case of Flash. There's also multiple interactive documentaries. I watched a very interesting one named Bear 71. Now, Bear 71 is not interesting because of the documentary, which is rather boring, but the format itself. It has all these tracked animals you can click on and see, watching them move around on a really stylized dotted map. It tells a story through the perspective of a narrator in the character of Bear 71, a bear they captured. But it gets a bit overwhelming with all of these elements being thrown at you at once. A lot of the most interesting Flash experiences aren't functional at the time of recording. Some I've tried before as a kid, like the Old Spice music muscle, but some I will never get to experience. A significant one being Monoface, which is no longer up. It allows you to change all the features of a real face with 759,375 possibilities, or Getty Images Mood Stream, which helps creatives get inspired by showing streams of images, footage, and audio based on sliders you select. We choose the moon.org. Go to the moon. Was an interactive recreation of the Apollo 11 lunar landing that now just redirects to facts about the landing, something way less cool. A lot of these experiences are already being lost to time, which just sucks. And to watch them slowly disappear and knowing they will soon all be gone is just a terrible feeling. It's not easy to watch these technical masterpieces that were so far advanced for their time be abandoned and forgotten. So while Flash ends and we see emulation begin a life of its own, how accessible it is truly changes what the future looks like for all legacy content. Many of the most popular programs are having troubles that are almost certain to get fixed in the future, but whether a lot of these older websites embrace Ruffle is something only time will tell. I want to truly thank you for getting this far in the video, and if you like it, subscribe, and please, please, please don't cry. I have other well-made videos you can watch too. Thanks for sticking with me. Happy New Year. Peace.